What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best budget pistols that I've ever gotten my hands on. We're going to be talking about the Tanfoglio EAA Witness 9B 9mm pistol. Now, this is a small frame steel Witness double action 9mm pistol, very similar to the CZ75 series of guns, which is one of the most copied guns in the world. Part of that is because they didn't have quite the patent system we have in the old Soviet Union. Now, the CZ75 is one gun that I really love, maybe one of my favorite guns of all time. So first, let's open the box real quick and take a look at this guy. As you can see, it's got a little bit of water on it because I was just out in the freezing Iowa tundra shooting this gun for part of the review. I wanted to get a refresher course on it and remember how I liked it before I did the review, so don't worry about a little bit of condensation on there. What comes in the box? The answer, almost nothing. It comes with your manual and this little packet with the cheapest gun lock you can possibly get, and for the price that this gun is, you're lucky that you get that. Now, I said earlier that it's a small framed EAA Witness, and what I mean by that is essentially it's the exact same frame, but with a little bit smaller mag well. The only difference between the large frame and the small frame ones, the small framed ones can be converted from 9mm to 40, but I think that's it, hence the smaller magazine well. The larger ones can take anything from 9mm up to 10mm, I believe, so that's why this one I think is just a little bit cheaper because it can only be converted up to 40. I don't plan on converting it, so that doesn't bother me at all. The 9B has a 4.5-inch barrel and it weighs right around 36 ounces. Now the website says 32. Without the magazine, this weighed 36 on my scale. With one of my standard CZ magazines, probably 37, 38 ounces, so take that in consideration. It comes with a single-sided safety, as you see right here, removable grips, and a pick rail for lights and lasers for home defense. That's a huge plus. I wouldn't personally use a handgun for home defense that didn't have a light rail on it, since weapon-mounted lights are so much easier to use under stress. Now, since this pistol is 36 ounces, I don't think you would want to carry it, although you could. I know lots of people who carry heavier guns than this. Full-size 1911s are right around 42 ounces, and they've been carried for about 100 years now, so you definitely could pull it off, although I think there are better options. I think it would be a great option for something like home defense or plinking. Now, one thing on concealed carry quick that I would like it for is I really do like double single action guns, which this is. What that means is that it fires in single action with the hammer back, but it also fires in double action in case you need to hit a bullet for a second time. You have that double strike capability, which is nice. The reason why it's nice for concealed carry is if you're one of those guys who appendix carry, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You're taking a risk there, and if you have a gun with a round in the chamber, the extra long pull of the double action trigger adds a little bit of safety when you're pointing your gun at your junk. Now, I really do think it would shine as a budget home defense gun or a first gun if you're looking to get into shooting. It would also be great for a range gun or even an entry-level competition gun. A good shooter with this would have no problem outshooting an average shooter with something like a CZ Orange or even a souped-up 2011. It's very reliable for what it is, considering it's a very budget-minded firearm. I shot about 600 to 700 rounds through this for the review. A lot of that was cheap Wolf, some of it was Freedom Munitions, but a lot of it was 124 grain Agula, and it all functioned perfectly. I don't think I had any malfunctions in this review at all, even though I did shoot some of my polymer ammo that it also worked in. And considering that a lot of that ammo doesn't work with M&P 2.0s or even the PPQ, that says a lot about the reliability of this gun for the price that it is. Accuracy was really good as well. It has good sights and a good trigger. Making shots out to about 50 yards is pretty easy. It has a very light recoil impulse. The one problem that I have with the accuracy is the double action pull kinda sucks. But what do you expect from a $250 pistol? In some places you can actually find this for $200. So that's pretty impressive in its own right. I'll show you the double action pull again here really quick. Now it is very heavy and it is pretty gritty, so I gotta admit the double action kind of sucks. Now compared to something like my CZ Orange, the single action sucks too, but compared to something like a Glock, the single action is just fine. And considering this is half the price of a Glock, you're getting a better trigger out of the box. The sights I would actually also prefer over a Glock, just standard 3-dot. These are not night sights, but again, I have seen night sight sets that are almost as much as this entire pistol. So again, you're lucky that you're getting the sights that you get. And for me, personally, for the price that it is, I think they're excellent. Now, as I said, the recoil impulse is smooth. Now, a lot of that is due to the CZ design, the low mass slide with the internal slide rails. Less reciprocating mass makes for less recoil. Not to mention, it is a 36-ounce gun, so it handles that puny 9mm very, very well. Now, it's got pretty good ergonomics for a gun that costs about half as much as other budget firearms. Now, it didn't have any sharp edges or any rattling parts. That's actually pretty lucky. I really thought that was going to be the case in a gun this cheap, but it's not. Also, the controls work really well. The magazine works great. As you can see, it takes my extended CZ75 mags just fine, and I use those throughout the review. They work great. Mag ejection's awesome, even better than the P10C out of the box. Safety works fine. I wish it was a little more tactile like my CZ Orange, but again, you can get about 80 of these from my CZ Orange. Slide release, again, works great, and so does the hammer and trigger. All parts work great, and nothing rattles around, and everything is fairly well built. Now, one of the downsides you're going to get with this is that it does come with one magazine. That kind of sucks, but luckily I've got CZ75 magazines coming out of my ass, so that was not a problem for me. They are relatively cheap and easy to find, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem for you either. Now, even though this gun is relatively unknown, it does take most of CZ75's accessories, and that gets to some of the other downsides. Now, one of the things I didn't like about it, let's say, is just that it's a budget-minded firearm in general. It comes with an average trigger and average sights and average grips. Luckily for you, if you decided to buy this gun, throughout owning it, you can upgrade it at your leisure. First thing I would probably do is go with different grips. One of the reasons that is because with a cheaper gun, you don't get that awesome of front strap checkering. I would really like more, but you can fix a lot of that by simply taking a wrap of grip tape, putting it right over there, and then covering it with the grips, which I did with my CZ AccuShadow, and that worked great. Second thing I would do is pop on eBay, spend an extra $50, buy some grips. One reason, make the gun look cooler. CZ75 looks cool to begin with. These grips are kind of generic, plus I want a lot more traction. You could even wrap that around to the back strap here, which needs checkering as well. Now, the second thing I would do is probably get a trigger job. It wouldn't be that hard. You can find reputable people to do one for around $150. You might even be able to find some parts that are compatible with a CZ75, or even Tanfoglio parts that you can get, because Tanfoglio is big in the competition circuit as well, and you could upgrade this trigger and probably get it as good as high-end custom CZs, which is pretty good considering CZ Orange has a 1.7 pound trigger. I don't know if you could put the single action flat face trigger in her, but if you could, it would change this gun completely. Now, one of the downsides to it is I didn't look into this, so quote me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like the front sight is removable. And if that's the case, that would kind of suck. You would be stuck with it, but you could also paint it with some high-vis orange paint or even nail polish or anything like that, and you could get a similar look to the Trijicon HDs. I would prefer to replace it with a fiber optic, but if you couldn't replace it, that would be a fairly cheap and easy replacement. So if you decided to do those upgrades, basically what you have is you have a go-to-competition ready gun for under $500. You're not going to find that anywhere else, at least not that I've found. It handles the recoil very well. It's very reliable, very accurate, all for that $250, $200 entry price. Add a couple little trick things to make the gun your own, and you have your own little custom gun for $400 to $500. Very impressive. You could use it for home defense because of that light and because of the reliability, and you could use it for competition due to the speed that you can put bullets down range accurately. All in all, for the price that this is, man, this is one thing that you got to remember. With a cheap gun, you're going to have some weird tolerances, you're going to have some weird factory practices, so you may get one of these that isn't as reliable as mine. But I got to say, this was stupid reliable, and it ran every ammunition that I tried through it, and for $200, I got to give it a 10 out of 10. If you get as lucky as I did and get one as good as I got for the price, man, you're going to love this gun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.